father. Ooh, I just gave him a job boost. Dan Bongino, a former Secret Service agent, he joins us tonight. So there's a huge controversy online that I'm hesitant even to wade in on, but I think it needs to be addressed. And it's over the protests led by the students.
Sure.
For whom all of us feel terrible, because you can't imagine anything worse than your kid's school getting shot up. But all of a sudden you're seeing these kids involved in calls for very specific pieces of legislation. And the allegation has been that they are in some way in contact with organized anti-gun groups, and people who have suggested that have been denounced as immoral and heartless, and how dare you question these kids or attack them, which, for the record, I am certainly not doing.
Right.
But I think it raises interesting questions about how we make our law.
Right. You know, what's interesting about this is I'm with you 100%. If you are involved in a horrific, unimaginable tragedy like this, you absolutely, your voice should be heard. They are obviously important voices in what happened. But what I find ironic about it is a couple things. Number one, where I think their voices are most valuable, Tucker, are not on the components the media is paying attention to. In other words, supply side measures to get rid of guns.
Yes.
Where their voices would be valuable is where were the signs missed? These students were there. They dealt with this kid every day. But the media is focused more on a teenager's expertise in supply side control measures for guns, which, Tucker, let's be candid, they probably have not studied a very complicated, layered issue. They absolutely unequivocally have the right, and after what they've been through, we want to hear their voices. But the media is focusing on an agenda and not, ironically, where these kids could be most valuable.
They're using these kids in a kind of moral blackmail where you're not allowed to disagree or you're attacking the child, which is, of course, I can speak for myself, the last thing I would ever do as a father of four. Yeah. You would never attack the kid. You can disagree with other people's opinions without attacking them, but the press is conflating that and making it like you're not allowed to disagree or you're a bad person.
Well, did you notice the doublespeak here as well? When it comes to things like immigration rights, they don't seek subject matter expertise from parents who've been killed by illegal immigrants. When it comes to things like the victims of terrorist attacks, their voice is not, to be candid here, I get it. They can say, someone may come back and say, well, Republicans come out and they say, what about Kate's Law? Fine. But we gave them a voice and we followed it up with a substantive law, and we understand, and I'm saying to you, these kids should be heard. But the left-leaning media will not do the same. They will give these kids a platform to talk about these legislative issues, but they won't give anyone else on an issue that doesn't fit their agenda the exact same
Totally
platform.
right. Creepy propaganda outlets like CNN. I guess what I just disagree with is the idea that anybody with an alternate view is removed from the conversation on moral grounds immediately. That is their play, always.
Tucker, it's all critical theory stuff. It's meant to minimize and put you. It wins the argument before the argument starts.
Exactly.
By making sure Tucker Carlson's a bad guy. Therefore, whatever Tucker Carlson says is therefore unworthy of the conversation.
Smart. That's such a smart. I wish I had expressed it as crisply as you just did. Thank you.
That's a big compliment.
That was good. I was impressed. Thanks, Dan. Washington has been focused on Russia.